Good morning. Welcome back. It is a beautiful Saturday morning. It is a beautiful Saturday morning. The sky is blue. Everywhere looking good. Thank you, Lord. Now we shall begin this unit with the scope and definition of the strategic planning process. Scope and definition of the strategic planning process. The content talks about the introduction, the objectives, the scope and definition, the components of strategic planning process, formulation or formulating a mission statement, action planning, and why strategic planning fails. In this unit, you will be studying strategic management planning, its scope and definition, and the components of strategic planning process. We all know that planning typically includes several major activities or steps in the process. Different people often have different names for these major activities. Therefore, strategic planning includes the use of several key terms. Different people may use or apply different definitions for these terms as well. Here we want to learn how mission statement is formulated. Also, we are going to be exposed to the action planning and why strategic planning fails. Strategic planning process. Strategic planning is a systematic and dynamic process that organizations undertake to define their direction. You allocate resources and make decisions to achieve long-term objectives. It involves assessing the internal and external environment, setting goals, formulating strategies, and implementing action plans. The scope of strategic planning encompasses the entire organization and is essential for aligning activities with the mission and vision to achieve sustainable success. Strategic management planning is a systematic process of determining goals to be achieved in the foreseeable future. This is a simple and straightforward definition of strategic management planning. It consists of the following. 1. Management's fundamental assumptions. Management's fundamental assumptions about the future. About the future economic, technological, and competitive environments. Two, setting of goals to be achieved. Within a specified time frame. Three, performance of SWOT analysis. Four, selecting main alternatives or strategies to achieve these goals. And five, formulating, implementing implementing, and monitoring the operational or tactical plan. To achieve the interim objectives. Strategic management planning consists of the following: the management's fundamental assumptions about the future economic, the technological, and competitive environments. It also talks about setting up goals to be achieved within the specified time frame. It talks about performance of SWOT analysis. It talks about selecting main alternatives or strategies to achieve these goals, and in formulating, implementing, and monitoring the operational or tactical plans to achieve the interim objectives. However, implementation involves designing an appropriate organizational structure and control system to put the organization's chosen strategy into action. And one way to look at strategic planning activities is by looking at the strategic analysis. Strategic analysis, therefore, is the review or scanning of the organization's environment, e.g., the political, social, economic, and technical environment. What are the components of strategic planning process? Now I want to move to the component of strategic planning process. There are several strategies, there are several components, there are several elements, considerations that fits in to what is called strategic planning process to ensure that the congruent goals are achieved at the end of the day. Components. of the strategic planning process. Planners carefully consider various driving forces in the environment, such as increasing competition, changing demographics, etc. Equally, planners look at the various strengths and weaknesses opportunities and threats regarding the organization. Some people take this wide look around after they have identified or updated their mission statement, vision statement, value statement, etc. Now let's look into the components of the strategic planning process. The first one is environmental analysis. The second one is establishing mission, vision, and values. The third one is setting objectives. Fourth is strategic formulation. The fifth one is action planning. Next is implementation. You have monitoring and evaluation. You have feedback and learning. Communication and alignment. These are the essential components, elements, or considerations of the strategic planning process. We shall explain them one after the other. The first one here is environmental analysis. This talks about the internal and external factors and external considerations that may impact the organization. They include the SWOT analysis of the strengths, the weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, including its competitors. The second one here is to establish mission, vision, and values. Here you formulate a clear mission statement that defines the organization's purpose. A vision statement that outlines its desired future and core values that guide decision making. The setting of objectives. Here you define specific, measurable, and achievable objectives that support the organization's mission and vision. The clear objectives have to be defined, measurable, and achievable. Not that which at the end of the day becomes undesirable, becomes not useful to the organization's congruent goals. Not that does not go in line with the organization's mission, vision, among others. Next is the strategic formulation. Here we develop strategies to achieve objectives. We also consider factors such as the competitive positioning in the market. Talk about market segmentation and resource allocation. Next is action planning. Here we translate strategies into actionable plans, including defining tasks, timelines, responsibilities, and resource requirements. Action plan. And the implementation talks about executing the action plans, you monitor progress, and address any issues that arise during the implementation phase. You have the monitoring and evaluation. You continuously assess performance against objectives, adjusting the strategies as needed, and learning from the strategic planning process. You monitor the task given. You monitor whatever you have given to your immediate subordinates or the team in question. And then you evaluate and make necessary adjustments where necessary. Feedback and learning. You establish mechanisms for feedback, learning, and adapting strategies based on experience and changing conditions. Feedback is to get response, either from internal and external, especially the external world, regarding the organization, regarding the product. If it's a definite product that's into a definite line of business that is producing a manufacturing concern, for example, feedback is necessary for them to work on existing and improving upon the current situations. And there's room for learning and improvement. This is what feedback and learning is concerned about. And we have the communication and alignment. The communication and alignment talks about ensuring the fact that the entire organization is informed about the strategic plan and aligned with its goals. This is necessary. This is important. This is pertinent. Should be proper channel of communication from the management down to the lower level cadre. That establishes proper communication to make sure everyone, including the cleaners, the drivers, are concerned, are carried along to drive the organization to its promised land. That is what communication and alignment is all about. Now, what is called mission statement? Mission statement. A mission statement is a brief written description of the purpose of the organization and why a company is in operation. We want to talk about formulating a mission statement, but we need to define it Mission statement is a brief written description of the purpose of the organization, comma, and why a company is in operation. Now, this is a definition of mission statement. It also provides the framework with which strategies are formulated. It also provides the framework with which strategies are formulated. A mission statement, however, has some components in its modus operandi. There are steps to a mission statement. But before talking about the steps, let's talk about the components. Components of a mission statement. A statement which gives reason why the organization came into existence. This refers to the mission or vision of the company. Reason why the organization came into existence. Two, the vision of the company. And three, the statement of the key values or guiding standards which will drive and shape the actions and behaviors of employees and a statement of major goals or objectives. These are the essential components of a mission statement. Meanwhile, the mission statements vary in nature. It can be very brief or quite comprehensive. It includes a specific purpose statement that is part of the overall mission statement. Many people consider the value statement and vision statement to be part of the mission statement. And in formulating a mission statement, there are certain questions that will be asked. That is, there are some definitions that will answer some definite questions. A mission statement also is regarded as the first important step, and it also gives a definition of the organization's business. Now, the definition will then answer the following questions. The first one is, what is our business? The second question is, what will it be? And the third is, what should it be? However, the responses to these questions above will then guide the formulation of a mission statement. Next one is the formulation of goals and objectives from the mission statement, etc. We all know that a goal is a desired future statement or objective that a company attempts to realize. Now, I want to talk about the steps involved in formulating a mission statement. Steps to formulate a mission statement. First one here is to define the purpose. Define purpose for which a mission statement will be formulated. The second one is identify values. The third is to consider stakeholders. The fourth is to be concise and inspirational. And the fifth is to align and vision. Now let's explain them. You define the purpose, which is number one step. You clearly articulate the organization's primary purpose and reason for its existence. That is simple and straightforward. The next is the identification of values. You determine the core values that guide the organization's behavior and decision making. Next is to consider the stakeholders. You take into cognizance the interests and expectations of key stakeholders. That includes customers, employees, and the community. Then also, a good mission statement that will be formulated should be concise and inspirational. Here, you craft a concise, brief, short, abridged, and inspirational statement that communicates the essence, the significance, the purpose of the organization. Next is to align with vision. You align the organization's mission with the vision. You ensure that the mission statement aligns with the organization's long-term vision. We also have the action planning. Action planning is carefully laying out how the strategic goals will be accomplished. It often includes specifying objectives or specific results with each strategic goal. Often, each objective is associated with a tactic, which is one of the methods needed to reach an objective. Therefore, implementing a strategy typically involves implementing a set of tactics along the way. And in that sense, tactic is still a strategy. The action planning also includes specifying responsibilities and timelines with which each objective is being met, and who needs to do that and at what time. Action planning should also include methods to monitor and evaluate the plan, which includes knowing how the organization will know who has done what and when. It is also common to develop annual plan, which is sometimes called the operational plan, that includes the strategic goals, objectives, strategies, responsibilities, and timelines within which should be done in the coming year. Now, simply put, action planning involves carefully laying out the strategic goals, laying out how the strategic goals will be accomplished. Now, there are key steps in action planning. They include 1. You define tasks. 2. You set timelines. 3. You allocate resources. 4. You assign responsibilities. 5. And you establish metrics. These are the key steps in action planning. Let's explain them. You define tasks. Here you break down strategies into specific tasks and activities that will be required, that will be needed for accomplishment. Also, you set timelines. Here you establish realistic timelines for each task, duration, turnaround time for a definite task or each task assigned to be fulfilled, creating a roadmap for implementation. You also allocate resources. Here you identify the resources such as financial, human, or technological that will be required for successful execution. You also have assigning responsibilities. Here you define performance metrics to measure progress and success. That is establishment of metrics. But let's talk about the assigned responsibilities first. You clearly assign responsibilities to individuals or teams for each task. You assign responsibilities, duties, obligations to individuals or teams in a definite group for each task to be fulfilled. The establishment of metrics talks about defining performance metrics to measure progress and success. It is what has been done so far. Why strategic planning fails? Why strategic planning fails? We have so many reasons why strategic planning fails. We have the lack of commitment, lack of leadership commitment. We have poor execution. We have resistance to change. We have lack of employee involvement. We have unclear communication. We have overemphasis on the plan and not the process. We have rigid planning. We also have inadequate resources. And lack of monitoring and evaluation. We'll talk briefly on this. Why strategic planning fails. We mentioned the lack of leadership commitment. Two, we have poor execution. We have lack of employee involvement. We have unclear communication. We have overemphasis on the plan and not the process. We have rigid planning. We also have inadequate resources. We also have lack of monitoring and evaluation. We also have resistance to change. Shall I explain them briefly because of time? Now, the first one talks about lack of leadership commitment. Without strong leadership commitment, strategic planning efforts may lack direction and support. That's the basic truth. Without strong leadership commitment, those are committed to the organization. Without having the right caliber of leadership style, the future of the organization is in jeopardy if such is not properly addressed. The next one is poor execution. Failure to effectively implement the strategic plan can result in unrealized goals if not properly executed. Resistance to change. There are some organizations, there are some people individuals that resist change, and this can impede the successful execution of strategic initiatives. You also have inadequate environmental analysis. Ignoring changes in the internal and external environment can lead to flawed strategies, of course. You also have lack of employee involvement. Here, when you exclude some employees or all employees from the strategic planning process, it may result in reduced commitment and engagement. Unclear communication or poor communication of strategic plan can lead to confusion and lack of alignment among employees. Focusing solely on the plan and neglecting the ongoing strategic planning process can hinder adaptability by all and sundry. And rigid planning also talks about being too rigid and not flexible. In adhering to the original plan without flexibility for adjustments can lead to failure. Inadequate resources talks about insufficient allocation of resources can undermine and jeopardize the implementation of strategic initiatives. And failing to continuously monitor and evaluate progress may result in lack of learning and improvement. That is under lack of monitoring and proper evaluation. Others include the strategic managers in their initial enthusiasm for planning techniques may forget that the future is full of uncertainties and highly unpredictable. Another reason for strategic planning failure is that even where you have the best designed strategic planning system, it may fail to produce the desired results if managers do not use the information available at their disposal. In conclusion, in this unit, it has been made known to all that strategy is an action that a company takes to attain one or more of its goals. Strategic planning has a positive impact on the overall performance of an organization, especially in the areas of profitability. And in summary, we have learned about strategic planning, the components of strategic planning, the mission statement formulation, action plan, and reasons for the failure of strategic planning. In our next meeting, we shall talk about corporate planning. We thank God for today's lecture, for it was successful. So when next we meet, we shall begin with definition of corporate planning. We talk about the objectives, talk about the examples of basic corporate objectives, the peculiarities of corporate objectives, the factors affecting the formulation of corporate objectives, the benefits of corporate planning, the limitations of corporate planning, and reasons why corporate planning fail. These and many more we'll be talking about upon our next meeting. Thank you all. Thank you for listening. See you some other time. God bless you.